Good morning. I am Stephen C. And you are at Steve O'C's on TikTok. It is 11 a.m. Central Time on Thursday, May 15th, 2025. This is our daily Course in Miracles review, our discussion of our own state of consciousness, spirituality, esoteric principles, metaphysics, and mysticism. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I am here every morning at 11 a.m. Central Time. If you miss the original broadcast, the original download, you can find a replay of it over on my YouTube channel, also at Steve O'C's, or search Stephen C over at YouTube, or there is also a link in my account bio. So welcome. Thanks for being here. Remember to share the live, like the live, and please feel free to leave your comments and suggestions. I like to begin every day by reading the introduction to the Course in Miracles as a grounding exercise, as part of a exercise to bring us into the right vibration, the correct frequency. And so this is the introduction to the text. And it says this is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear. But what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So that is the introduction, the very succinct, direct summary of the Course in Miracles, which says awakening is the reason we are here. This is a required course. The course calls itself a universal curriculum in the form and using the symbology of Christianity. And it also says, however, there are a multitude of forms to the universal curriculum, Christianity being only a single form, not the only form. So that is why we use the Course in Miracles simply as a platform to launch into our spiritual discussion, into metaphysical principles, hermetic principles, mysticism, esoteric Christianity, etc., esoteric Buddhism, esoteric Islam or Sufism, Kabbalah, whatever it is you are interested in, please feel free to comment and share your knowledge and insight. And so we begin by looking at the workbook lesson of the day. Everybody knows the rules. One workbook lesson per day. And today we are looking at lesson 135, a key, very central lesson to the Course in Miracles, that the explanation is pretty clear. The application of this lesson is what makes it so important from my point of view. And lesson 135 says, if I defend myself, I am attacked. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Key lesson here for more than one reason. And we will now check that out, find out what those reasons are. So the Course says, who would defend himself? unless he thought he were attacked, that the attack were real, and that his own defense could save himself. Who would defend himself unless he thought he were attacked, that the attack was real, and that his own defense could save himself? And herein lies the folly of defense. It gives illusions full reality and then attempts to handle them as real. It adds illusions to illusions, thus making correction doubly difficult. And it is this you do when you attempt, here it comes, to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as you wish. So, as you can see, although the Course in Miracles uses Christian terminology, which often confuses many people about what this course is about, what the discussion is about. If I defend myself, I'm attacked. And then the first paragraph, talking about illusions and reality. Illusions being the portion of the dream we have involved ourselves in, the part of the simulation that does not reflect reality, does not symbolize reality. What is reality? Reality is the mind of God, the mind of the Creator, the source of all creation, the source of all thought, feeling, and being. So, being defensive, which is only the other side of the coin of attack, is folly. It gives illusions reality and then attempts to handle them as real. According to the Course, an illusion or a dream can simply be dismissed. What meaning is there in the actions or the behavior or the discourse of figures in a dream? It says, why would I be upset if I knew everyone I saw, everything I think I see, is a figure in a dream, part of a hallucination, a delusional projection of my own consciousness? Now, the entire representation or symbol of our existence outside of ourselves is not completely an illusion. It is mixed. But that mixed state of seeing, that dual sense, eating of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, is a problem according to the Course. So we want to go from a dual consciousness or perception of duality to a non-dual consciousness, the atonement or the perception of unity and oneness, a non-dual consciousness, unified consciousness. So we give illusions full reality and then attempt to handle them as real. You do this is the tricky part, when you attempt to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as you wish. And so we've been talking about the holy instant. The holy instant has been the subject of workbook lessons and text over the past week. What is the holy instant? The holy instant is power of now. The holy instant has no past, has no future. And in this holy instant, in this moment of now, we find ourselves as close as we can be in time and space to eternity, to the unchanging, to the eternal, to the absolute. So if I defend myself, I'm attacked. You operate from the belief you must protect yourself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens you, right? Anyone? Bueller? Sound familiar? You operate from the belief you must protect yourself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens you. A sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness, a belief that there is danger which has power to call on you to make appropriate defense. So, right, I'm in danger. So I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to put locks on the doors. I'm going to make sure there's enough money in the bank account. I'm going to buy insurance, etc., etc., etc. All the components of the world, quote unquote, the world, that the Course in Miracles has talked about in previous lessons and in the text. The world, what I see, is a form of vengeance, attack, defense, defense, attack. The world that I see is based upon a split mind, it is based upon the idea of separation. So I have to defend myself. I am in danger. There are forces arrayed against me. The Course asks the question, what if you submitted this point of view at its initial premise, at the initial premise of the ego mind or the carnal mind or the physical mind, the personality? What if you really examined the initial premise of that portion of the mind, that I am separate from all protection, that I am separate from all security, that I am separate from God, from the source? What if I examined that? What if I really asked myself that question deeply? And that is what the workbook and the text of the Course in Miracles, also the Manual for Teachers, is here to help set that up. Set me up into a position to listen for the voice of a teacher within me, the Holy Spirit, divine wisdom, the divine feminine, the right hemisphere of the brain, that will question the fundamental premise that God does not exist, that the universe and myself just came about through random mutations and random particles colliding with one another and creating the entire universe from this random sort of chaos. You really think about it, kind of a strange thought system, a strange worldview, and yet it is the worldview that this world has been set up upon, initiated from. It proceeds from those types of thoughts and that type of thinking. The Course in Miracles says that's backwards. That needs to be reversed. You need to pull a 180 and go back where you came from. Return to the source. Return to your father's house, metaphorically, symbolically. Sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness, a belief that there is danger which has power to call on you to make appropriate defense. The world is based on this insane belief and all its structures, all its thoughts and doubts, its penalties and heavy armaments, the weapons industry, the defense contractors, constant wars, forever wars, right? Its legal definitions and its codes, the court system, the legal system, its ethics and its leaders and its gods all serve but to preserve its sense of threat. So the world, quote unquote, the world, not the real world, but the world that we perceive with our five senses, is a world of threat. It is a world to be feared. It is a world in which I'm about to be attacked, I believe, deeply, subconsciously. Maybe I won't admit it, but I'm under some sort of a constant threat in my own mind. For no one walks the world in armature, but must have terror striking at his heart. Defense is frightening. Now, we have been reading in the text and in the workbook that the ego mind, one of the characteristics of the ego mind also is that it's deceptive. It lies to me. It does not want to show me the whole truth. If I discovered the whole truth of how the ego mind is operating and the lies and the false premises upon which its lies are based, I would simply give it up. And as the Course says, rush into the arms of my Creator. Okay? I would completely, if I really understood, I would just completely abandon the thought system, the type of thinking and the thoughts that are manufactured by this sense of threat or by the ego mind, according to the Course. Defense is frightening, it stems from fear, increasing fear as each defense is made. You think it offers safety, yet it speaks of fear made real and terror justified. Is it not strange you do not pause to ask as you elaborate your plans and make your armor thicker and your locks more tight, what you defend and how and against what? So that is duality, right? Good guys and bad guys. Why? Because she'll need a bad guy. She'll need a bad guy, right? I need a bad guy so I can be superior. So I can call myself good because you're bad. So I can call myself not guilty because you are guilty. So again, this has been part of the discussion since January 1st, right? For 135 lessons, we've been talking about and thinking about our guilt and projecting our guilt outside of ourselves. And fundamentally, what is the original guilt? What is the original sin? Well, that I turned my back on my Creator. I turned my back on that loving intelligence of the universe that has given me everything, that has given me every part of itself to co-create as the Creator creates, to co-create with the Creator in the image and likeness of the Creator. I've turned my back. I've cut off the funding. Okay, I've closed the valve to that free flow of energy, health, prosperity, joy, love, peace, fulfillment. I've turned my back on it. Okay, instead of turning my back on quote unquote the devil, I've turned my back on God. And the more I have found, the more I work with the Course in Miracles, the more I apply the lessons, do the exercises, and read the text, which has been going on now for 20 plus years. It does have a certain effect upon consciousness. It does help to clear up the mind. It does allow more light and love and happiness to enter in. So I can look back into the past and go, glad I'm not thinking as I used to think in the past. I'm glad I'm not behaving or performing as I used to behave in the past. So the atonement that the Course in Miracles talks about, the unification with a higher power, unification with the truth or God's plan for salvation, is in fact a real thing, a real experience. And the Course says, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's forget about theories and lofty sentiments, and let's really figure this thing out. Let's make it real. And I can tell you that's exactly what happens. Let us consider first what you defend must be something that is very weak and easily assaulted. It must be something made easy prey, unable to protect itself and needing your defense. What? But the body has such frailty that constant care and watchful, deep concern are needful to protect its little life. What but the body falters and must fail to serve the Son of God as worthy host? And as the Course often does, it asks these questions, but trust me, we're being set up. It's asking the questions, and the answers will come very quickly upon the heels of the questions. So we're kind of being set up here. It's talking about the body right now. And next paragraph, almost immediately, it says, yet it is not the body that can fear, nor be a thing of fear. It has no needs, but those which you assign to it. Interesting idea, right? The body has no needs but the ones that I have assigned to it. So we're really talking about waking up here. Self-inquiry at a very, very profound, deep level. My body performs as it does or requires what it does based on my thinking, based on my thought system. Interesting. It is not the body that can fear or be a thing of fear, right? If I defend my body, it has no needs but those which you assign to it. It needs no complicated structures of defense, no health inducing medicine, no care, and no concern at all. I mean, that's crazy talk, really. According to the ego, who aligns itself with the body, that would be Set and Nephthys in Egyptian mysticism. Set and Nephthys, the ego and the body, the false ego, the little self, and the body. They are married. They are brother and sister. Okay? They are together. The body needs no complicated structures of defense, no health inducing medicine, no care, and no concern at all. Defend its life or give it gifts to make it beautiful or walls to make it safe, and you but say your home is open to the thief of time, corruptible and crumbling, so unsafe it must be guarded with your very life. Is not this picture fearful? Can you be at peace with such a concept of your home? This concept of a home, of a temple, of body, right? Yet what endowed the body with the right to serve you thus except your own belief? It's not my belief, it's what I was taught, right? But there's something I have to admit, I've been here before. So really, I've taught myself based on the past, which the Course in Miracles says, yeah, we want to bring the past up. We want to consider the past, but then the Holy Spirit is going to help us separate the wheat from the tares. And a lot of that past we're going to forget about. We're only going to remember and deal with part of the past that was loving, that was true. Now, the body, I've taught myself that the body is important. And Course is saying no care or concern at all. My body is about as important as that old bike I have out in the garage, about as important as that old clunker in the driveway. Yeah, it gets me around. It has a purpose. It is a vehicle, but it is not the main concern. The main concern, what does it profit a man if he gain the whole world but loses his soul? My main concern is my soul, my consciousness, my awareness of the truth of who and what I am. What endowed the body with the right to serve you? Thus, accept your own belief. It is your mind which gave the body all the functions that you see in it and set its value far beyond a little pile of dust and water. Who would make defense of something that he recognized as this? So these first 6, now 7 paragraphs of this lesson, if I defend myself, I'm attacked, it says the body is in no need of defense. And this is, according to the Course in Miracles, according to the voice of Jesus, who is speaking in the Course in Miracles, this is the lesson of the crucifixion, that the body needs no defense. The lesson and the demonstration of the crucifixion is, go ahead, do whatever you'd like to this body, because in 3 days I will raise it. I will bring it back. So go ahead and destroy it. It's absolutely meaningless. And this, of course, is a level of initiation that is quite a high standard. However, as we know from the Bible and also from the Course in Miracles, Jesus, the Christ consciousness, tells us, all these things I have done, even these things, even greater things than these shall you do. And in the Course in Miracles, it says, why don't we start with the most difficult lesson, that the body is not real and there is no death. Why don't we overcome the hardest one first? Why don't we just go for it off of Jump Street and dismiss our fear of death? Because there is no death. There is just a transition of form. There is a shifting in consciousness from one perception of a body, a limited perception, to a less limited perception at the point of death, abandonment of the body, leaving the body behind, shedding the body, opens us up to a greater consciousness, a greater freedom of consciousness. And it also says, but you don't have to wait. You can achieve that right now in this holy instant. So it says the body is in no need of defense. If I defend myself, I'm attacked. So I'm accepting full responsibility. So you can come at me. You can come at me as hard as you want. If I feel no need to defend, then you're really not attacking me. Give it your best shot, really, is what's being said here. Really a deep, strong, fundamental, grounded, esoteric Christianity here. The lesson of the crucifixion, go ahead, give it your best shot. Try to tear me up. It won't matter, because the body is not real. It is ruled by the mind, by consciousness. The body is in no need of defense. This cannot be too often emphasized. It will be strong and healthy if the mind does not abuse it by assigning it to roles it cannot fill, to purposes beyond its scope, and to exalted aims which cannot be accomplished. Such attempts, ridiculous yet deeply cherished, are the sources for the many mad attacks you make upon it. For it seems to fail your hopes, your needs, your values, and your dreams. The self, small s, that needs protection is not real. The body, valueless and hardly worth the least defense, need merely be perceived that's quite apart from you, like that car out in the garage or that car out on the street. Quite apart from me, this body, this vehicle, this meat suit, this space suit need merely be perceived as quite apart from you, and it becomes a healthy, serviceable instrument through which the mind can operate until its usefulness is over. Who would want to keep it when its usefulness is done? And so, what do we start to get into here? What many people talk about on this app and many other platforms. If we are a light worker, I've seen some good content even the last few days about just this point. What, what are we doing on this planet? What are we doing on this platform? We are helping each other to wake up. What are we doing in this body? Well, this is as part of a game, as part of an illusion, as part of a dream. This really is kind of a prison planet. Kind of locked ourselves down here, and we consider ourselves at many different levels prisoners, restricted, not really free to do and participate in life or to really experience life at its fullest. If you really think about it, if you're really honest with yourself. For defend the body, and you have attacked your mind. So the source of life and our actual life, reality, is consciousness, is the mind. Defend the body, you have attacked your mind. The only place we can really attack is in the mind, and once we realize that the mind cannot attack itself, the mind cannot be split except in a dream, so we wake up and then realize that consciousness is unified, non-dual. As soon as we accept the atonement, according to the Course in Miracles, then we realize, even that cannot be true. I cannot attack my own mind. For you have seen in it the faults, the weaknesses, the limits, and the lacks from which you think the body must be saved. Old age, death, illness, weakness, loss of strength. These are all actually features of the mind, features of the brainwashing, features of the false teachings we've been given and that I have accepted. You will not see the mind as separate from bodily conditions, and you will impose upon the body all the pain that comes from the conception of the mind as limited and fragile, and apart from other minds and separate from its source. So there it is. That is lesson 135, the ninth paragraph and the fourth sentence. It says it all. Here again is the essential teaching of the Course in Miracles. You will impose upon the body all the pain that comes from the conception of the mind as limited and fragile, weak, and apart from other minds and separate from its source, separate from the one mind. Wow. Jerry9681, welcome. Thanks for being here. Has a question about Trump and air traffic controllers. I'm not sure. Maybe it does have something to do with this conversation and with this lesson. We're kind of involved here in thinking about split mind and attack and the difference between the mind and the body. And that the body, in fact, is not even real. Trump is not even real. Trump is an aspect of your own mind and your own thinking, Jerry. How about that for some air traffic control? Air, one of the four elements, of course, symbolic of the mind, air, spirit, wind, mind. So that's how we'll relate to that question, I guess. Jerry, we are one. Now you're talking. Now I'm hearing you. So we impose upon the body all the pain that comes from the conception of the mind. It's limited and fragile and apart from other minds and separate from its source. These are the thoughts in need of healing, and the body will respond with health when they have been corrected and replaced with truth. So there is the solution. The solution is in the mind. The solution to Trump is in the mind. The solution to Pelosi is in the mind. The solution to Schumer is in the mind. The solution to Musk is in the mind. Those people, those things, those scenarios are not outside of ourselves, individually or collectively. Place to find the solution, the detachment, the healing is in the mind, in consciousness. This is the body's only real defense. Yet, is this where you look for its defense? You offer it protection of a kind from which it gains no benefit at all, but merely adds to your distress of mind. You do not heal, but merely take away the hope of healing, right? As Jesus said to the Pharisees, and the Pharisees, again, aspects of our own mind. The Pharisees represent skeptical thoughts, dogmatic thoughts, traditional thoughts that will not change, righteous thoughts, the righteous Pharisees. And what is the I am Christ consciousness recorded as saying to the Pharisees, you hypocrites, you vipers, you do not enter in, but that's not the worst of it. You prevent others from entering in. Where do you look for defense? You offer it protection of kind from which it gains no benefit at all, but merely adds to the distress of mind. You do not heal, but take away the hope of healing, for you fail to see where hope must lie if it be meaningful. Now, again, this is very important. I'm going to go through it very quickly here so we can get to the text also, but essential lesson in the Course in Miracles, lesson 135. If I defend myself, I am attacked, corresponds, interestingly enough, for those of you into the gematria, 135 corresponds to 153, which says, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. If I defend myself, I'm attacked. In my defenselessness, in my complete lack of worry, in my complete doubt that I need, my complete lack of interest in defending my body, simply allowing it to be, knowing that in consciousness I am protected, I am full, I am complete, I cannot be attacked because I am operating from a unified consciousness, and I not only understand that intellectually, I've proven it to myself. I've accepted it myself, and I've seen the results myself. Listen to this. Let's go through this quickly and get to the text. A healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plans that it receives through listening to wisdom that is not its own, the wisdom of the Holy Spirit. I know that I don't know is wisdom, according to Socrates. It waits until it has been taught what should be done and then proceeds to do it. It does not depend upon itself or anything except its adequacy to fulfill the plans assigned to it. This is where we're headed, this is where we're really going. It is secure and certainty that obstacles cannot impede its progress to accomplishment of any goal that serves the greater plan, not my personal plan, greater plan, God's plan of salvation, established for the good of everyone, the good of everyone and everything. So, is that how I think about the world? Is that how I move in the world as I greet the day? Am I listening for instructions within about how to move through the day for the good of everyone? Am I really serving? And to what degree am I serving only myself? And to what degree am I serving everyone and everything? To what degree is everything I do an offering to a higher intelligence, a higher love? A healed mind is relieved of the belief that it must plan. Although it cannot know the outcome which is best, the means by which it is achieved, nor how to recognize the problem that the plan is made to solve, this is called need to know. What do I need to know? I may just need to know, do this. Just go ahead, do it. Don't worry about it. Leave the results up to me, capital M. Don't worry about the results. It must misuse the body in its plan until it recognizes, in its plans, until it recognizes this is so. But when it has accepted this is true, then it is healed and lets the body go. So the environment of action, the sphere of healing is the mind. The field of action, the field of healing is the mind, the quantum field, the quantum potentiality. A healed mind is relieved of the belief that it must plan, even though it doesn't know the outcome which is best, the means by which it is achieved, nor how to recognize the problem that the plan is made to solve. What does this sound like? Complete faith, complete faith. Complete faith in the inner guidance. So, enslavement of the body to the plans of the unhealed mind sets up to save itself must make the body sick. So, the only reason I'm experiencing any kind of sickness, any kind of distress, financial, emotional, mental, physical, etheric, spiritual, it's because my mind is not straight. I don't have the correct mindset. I'm not in alignment with the truth vibrationally. Okay, so there are several more paragraphs which I'm going to skip, but you can find this entire lesson, lesson 135, at acim.org online. If you don't have a copy of Course in Miracles, if you don't have a copy of the text, you can find it online, lesson 135. So let's read the prayer, the italicized prayer that is included with this lesson. It says, if I defend myself, I am attacked. But in defenselessness, I will be strong, and I will learn what my defenses hide. All my defenses, all the ego defenses, are delay tactics and attempts to keep me from waking up. Delay tactics, distractions, and defenses against me knowing the truth about myself. If I defend myself, I think attack is possible. I think attack is effective. In defenselessness, however, in defenselessness, I will be strong. Attack, defense, is weakness, implies a weakness. Okay, and one more. This is my Easter time. I will keep it holy. The Easter time, every day, every moment. not just in April. This is my Easter time. This is the time of my resurrection. This is the time of coming to the fullness in truth of my own consciousness. I would keep it holy. I will not defend myself because the Son of God needs no defense against the truth of his reality. So defenses block, right, the awareness of love's presence, which is my natural inheritance. So maybe another 10 minutes here. Let's go to chapter 16, section 1, starting a new chapter called The Forgiveness of Illusions. So the end of chapter 15, the discussion in the text was about true forgiveness. So I don't make something real and then forgive it. Just said that also in our workbook lesson for today. I make something real, then I defend against it. I'm now doubly damned. I've lost myself twice. It's a dog pile. I'm really digging myself a deeper hole here, a deeper grave. The only thing that can be forgiven are illusions. That's why they're so easy to give up once I start practicing. Why it's so easy to forgive once I start practicing, and why it's something I would look forward to doing every minute of every day. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Detachment to outcomes. So this is called true empathy. This section, chapter 16, section 1. True empathy. To empathize does not mean to join in suffering, for that is what you must refuse to understand, or that is what you must refuse to do. So again, the ego has taught us, I've taught myself incorrectly. I need a new teacher. I need a new voice in my head, the voice of the Holy Spirit. To empathize with suffering is to believe that you, as a son of God, and myself, as a son of God, can suffer. And we want to give up those thoughts. Let's join the Buddha in nirvana. Let's give the world up. Let's give up the world of suffering. So if I empathize with your suffering, I'm reinforcing it, the Course is saying. So I'm not going to reinforce your sufferings. And so now, this is the fun part, right? How do I really manage that? Well, it says, I'm not going to manage it. I'm going to let the Holy Spirit manage it. To empathize does not mean to join in suffering. That is the ego's interpretation of empathy, and it's always used to form a special relationship in which the suffering is shared. Capacity to emphasize, I want to keep saying emphasize. The capacity to empathize is very useful to the Holy Spirit, provided you let her use it in her way. Her way is very different. She does not understand suffering, and would have you teach it is not understandable. So what does that mean? That means I have to walk around not suffering. What's the opposite of not suffering? I have to walk around happy, joyful, free. What a burden. That's a problem. Suffering is not understandable. If I really know who I am, if I really know where I've come from, if I really know where I still am, that I have never left, that I am still as God created me, then suffering is not understandable. Suffering is a mistake. According to the Course here, right, we can choose whether or not to study this curriculum. We can choose whether or not to work with these ideas. Although eventually, sooner or later, the motivation of the Holy Spirit, it's called, the actual suffering I impose upon myself will probably get me to start asking some questions will probably compel me to maybe consider some new ideas, right? Willingness, openness of mind, open minded willingness, as one of our followers said yesterday, beginner mind, always being willing to learn, no contempt prior to investigation. She does not understand suffering and would have you teach. It is not understandable. How do we teach? By becoming. When she relates through you, she does not relate through your ego to another ego. She does not join in pain, understanding that healing pain is not accomplished by delusional attempts to enter into it and lighten it by sharing the delusion. This is the operation of the ego mind, the separate mind, and doesn't work. Clearest proof that empathy, as the ego uses it, is destructive lies. What? Clearest proof that empathy, as the ego uses it, is destructive lies in the fact that it is applied only to certain types of problem and in certain people. Oh. Clearest proof that empathy, as the ego uses it, is destructive. Clearest proof that it is destructive lies in the fact that it is applied only to certain types of problems and in certain people. So I'm going to be selective with who and what I empathize with. These it selects out and joins with, and it never joins except to strengthen itself, the ego. Because the ego is the definition of weakness, so it needs allies. Having identified with what it thinks it understands, ego sees itself and would increase itself by sharing what is like itself, sympathy. Make no mistake about this maneuver. The ego always emphasizes, wow, ego always empathizes to weaken, and to weaken is always to attack. You do not know what empathizing means. Yet of this, you may be sure, if you will merely sit quietly by and let the Holy Spirit relate through you, you will empathize with strength and will gain in strength and not in weakness. Right? If I empathize with your suffering, I make myself weak. I join in the suffering. I join in the weakness. So that way of thinking, and it takes some practice to reverse it, must be reversed. Your part is only to remember this: you do not want anything you value to come of a relationship. I'm confused. I've led myself astray. The shepherd has not led me astray. I have wandered off, right? You choose neither to hurt it nor to heal it in your own way. Any relationship, any special relationship, you do not know what healing is. All you have learned of empathy is from the past, and there is nothing from the past that you would share, for there is nothing from the past that you would keep. Do not use empathy to make the past real and so perpetuate it. Step gently aside and let healing be done for you and through you. Of myself, I can do nothing. Keep but one thought in mind and do not lose sight of it, however tempted you may be to judge any situation and to determine your response by judging it. Focus your mind only on this: I am not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest, capital G. Guest is the Holy Spirit. I will not intrude the past upon the Holy Spirit. I have invited her. She is here. I need do nothing except not to interfere, and so to let healing be done. Now, this whole thing is also done in the context of the authors of this text, who were two psychology professors at Columbia University, Helen Schuckman and William Thetford. And part of the supplemental material in the manual for teachers is about psychoanalysis and psychology practice. And so here, there's an elaborated version of this sentence in the section about psychotherapy. It says, I need do nothing except not to interfere. It says psychotherapy, any type of therapy, counseling, coaching. Best bet is to not interfere and to allow the Holy Spirit, to allow a higher power, to allow the truth and the source of everything to do the healing. So I'm just going to become a channel. And how it heals and what it heals, that's not my business. That's not my function. That's the function and the business of the Holy Spirit or the higher self, because they have a greater picture. True empathy is of her who knows what it is. You will learn her interpretation of it if you let her use your capacity for strength and not for weakness, my capacity, my openness. How large of a capacity or how small of a capacity do I have? Have I assigned myself a large capacity or a little capacity? Humility is strength in this sense only, that to recognize and accept the fact that you do not know is to recognize and accept the fact that she does know. So I'm not going to interfere. I'm not going to get in the way. I'm not going to block the activity and the action of the Holy Spirit. You are not sure that she will do her part because you have never yet done yours completely. Never completely gotten out of the way. I've never completely surrendered, have I? You cannot know how to respond to what you do not understand. So the Course is always making statements like this, saying things like this. So I want to tell myself I don't understand, but there is one who does. If I will simply allow the one who does to operate through me. So that's the undoing of the ego and the allowing of the Holy Spirit, the shrinking of the little self, the allowing of the higher self. Okay, and only the Holy Spirit recognizes foolish needs as well as real ones. She will teach you how to meet both without losing either. Okay, so this is an important point. The meaning of love is lost in any relationship, a special relationship, which is the type of relationship ego creates or makes or invents. I'm going to enter into this relationship to get something that I don't already have. So it's a delusion, it's a false idea. Meaning of love is lost in any relationship that looks to weakness and hopes to find love there. The power of love, which is its meaning. Love is powerful. Love is the ultimate power. Power of love, which is its meaning, lies in the strength of God that hovers over it and blesses it silently by enveloping it in healing wings. Let this be and do not try to substitute your miracle for this. I have said that if a brother asks a foolish thing of you, to do it. So there was a discussion earlier that if someone asked me to do something because they think it's important, if I resist, I mean, I can say no, but if I say no out of a sense of resistance or a sense of lack or a sense of distrust or disturbance, or I just don't want to. The Course says I'm making the same mistake that my brother has made. I'm making the action of the body important. And it says the action of the body is not important. The thought that's compelling it is important. But then it says, it makes a qualification here. I have said that if a brother asks a foolish thing of you, to do it, but be certain this does not mean to do a foolish thing that would hurt either him or you, for what would hurt one would hurt the other. So there is a qualification. Someone asks you to go with them, if someone asks you to help them, I don't want to, I don't have time, not him again, not her again. See, that's the wrong state of mind. That's the wrong mindset. No, just do it. Just do it as long as it doesn't hurt them or me. Foolish requests are foolish merely because they conflict, since they always contain some element of specialness. Right? You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Do we understand each other here? Only the Holy Spirit recognizes foolish needs as well as real ones, and she will teach you how to meet both without losing either. So with the Holy Spirit, I can not only meet true needs, I can meet the foolish ones, and it's not going to cause a loss. In fact, it will allow a benefit both to myself and to my brother, even though it's foolish by certain standards. So very important there, paragraph 6, lesson 135. That's from the text, I'm sorry, chapter 15, section 1. Paragraph 6, check it out. You will attempt to do this only in secrecy, to meet needs, to meet foolish needs, to make bargains, right? To work out a deal. The ego, I will do it only in secrecy without the help of the Holy Spirit. And if you really think about it, I'm going to do something for you, maybe because you don't know I've got a secret. And you're about to do something for me that you may think is foolish, but I need it done and you're going to help, right? Isn't that what the whole world is about? Cutting deals and then blackmailing you with guilt, or blackmailing you with worse, if you would believe news. I'm going to do something. I'm going to compromise you. I'm going to make you feel guilty in a personal sense, in a greater sense, in a power struggle. I'm going to get you to do something to compromise you. Then I'm going to force you to do something I want you to do. That's the whole mess. That's the whole ego mess. That's the whole world, basis of the world, the ego mind of separation, mind of coercion. No, I'm going to operate from the Holy Spirit, love, joy, peace, the truth. And I'm going to keep myself pure, clean, filled with light, and everything's going to work out. But I'm going to be listening and watching for the Holy Spirit for the signs, for the direction, for the guidance. Okay. You will attempt to do this only in secrecy. You will think that by meeting the needs of one, you do not jeopardize another because you keep them separate and secret from each other. Things that are important and things that are foolish. I'm going to keep them separate. Duality. Okay. That is not the way, for it leads not to life and truth. No needs will long be left unmet if you leave them all to her whose function it is to meet them. That is her function, not yours. So my needs are met. Sermon on the Mount. Squirrels' needs are met. Birds' needs are met. That trees' needs are met. My needs are met. I'm going to let the Holy Spirit bring them to me, provide them. I'm not going to make judgments, right? The need to plan for the future, as the lesson for the day said. So this is really powerful stuff today. This is really powerful teaching in lesson 135 today, and also chapter 16, section 1. Really powerful. I don't need to plan as long as I'm in alignment, as long as I'm attuned, as long as I'm atoned, as long as I'm listening to the inner voice of the Holy Spirit, the higher self, the truth. I don't need to plan. I don't need to set anything up. I don't need to have a fat bank account and worry about it being stolen by the government or the banks. I don't have to worry about it. All my needs are being met. All my needs are met. That is the Holy Spirit's function, not yours. She will not meet them secretly, for she would share everything you give through her. That is why she gives it. So every gift from God that I have received, I'm going to extend. I'm going to extend it. I'm going to share it, because that's how I received it. It was given to me freely. Now I'm going to share it freely. What you give through her is for the whole sonship, not for part of it. Leave her function, for she will fulfill it if you but ask her to enter your relationships and bless them for you. So I am blessed. My relationships are blessed. This day is blessed. You're blessed. We're all blessed. So thanks for being here. That is our review for the day. Go check it out online, acim.org. Pick up the book, read it, dust off that book, take it off the bookshelf, lesson 135 and chapter 16, section 1. Reread it, check it out, read a paragraph, read a couple sentences, and then ask the Holy Spirit to interpret it for you. You know how to do that. You understand that. So thanks for being here. Thank you for the comments and the likes. And you can follow this account. You can go to my YouTube account to see the replay of this live. There are over 100 plus hours of these types of discussions on my YouTube channel. There's a link in the bio, or you can search at Steve O'C's on YouTube. I'm here every morning at 11 a.m. or Central Time for about 60 minutes or so. So thanks for being here. Have a great day. Peace and blessings. I will see you tomorrow.